charity with the PGA. We're very appreciative that you all came out today. 1975, this team won the North American Championships. So here's Chris Poe. This is our chairperson. So I'll turn the mic over to Chris and I'll be back then.
Hey everyone, I want to thank everyone to come out today. This is a great celebration. I'm going to give you a quick history. I'll try and run through it, but I think it's important for everyone to understand, where this all came from and, what got us here today. So in 1950, the Gaelic Athletic Association in the American Midwest entered a new chapter. That year marked the official founding of the Roger Casements Club. In Pittsburgh, between the 1950s and 1960s, the games between the division's various teams were closely contested. Often the difference between defeat and victory hinged on the kick of the ball. A new departure for the GAA in the 1960s was the introduction of the 13-a-side game. This was necessitated by the decline in numbers participating in the game, and it also suited the American game because of the smaller size of the fields. Many times in this decade, Pittsburgh had difficulty fielding a team even, and traveling to other cities, minus the required number of players, happened frequently. Some players who had moved to other cities still traveled and continued to play with the Roger Casements Club so that they could still field a team. The amount of traveling involved to ensure the continuance of the club went far and above the call of duty. The decline in Roger Casement's fortune in the 1960s coincided with the increasing strength of neighboring cities and the continued decline of immigrant Irish. But many far-sighted people found their greater strength in adversity. The obstacles proved to be an inspiration. Roger Casements set a precedent in North America by nurturing the great amongst American-born players. They were handing down the great traditions from father to son and any others who wished to be involved. The veterans who at one time made such a great contribution on the field were now making an even greater contribution off the field by establishing a youth league in Pittsburgh. These youngsters were given an opportunity to compete at their own level, and gradually they were upgraded to the junior team. The gradual maturity of those homegrown players, aided by many Irish-born stars, symbolized Roger Casement's phoenix rising from the ashes. In 1975, the Casements won their first ever American Board final, beating Philadelphia. Yes, it was a historic achievement that validated their vision, resilience, and investment in the youth. They went on to win 10 Midwest titles and 3 American Board championships. Reestablishing itself as a powerhouse in Gaelic football across the United States. But that's for another day. Today we salute the Golden Jubilee men of 1975 and their enduring legacy. Let's hear it.
Okay, folks, so we have a number of the players with us today. We also have some family members that are here to represent them, and then there were other folks just because of the passing of the years, it was kind of hard to get a hold of, but we'll say a couple of words about each of them for you, okay? So, number one was our goalkeeper, Mike Joyce. So the captain of the team and also the selector on the day. Mike Joyce was originally from Canberra. He was a leader both on and off the field. He had plenty of experience from his days playing in North Galway. While he played goalkeeper for most of his life, Mike was also an accomplished centre-back. Mike wore soccer boots instead of the steel-toed boots and definitely had an influence on the younger guys who then, of course, had to follow suit. Ladies and gentlemen, our goalkeeper from that team, Mike Joyce. Our left full-back in the day was the great Tommy Clunan. Originally from the Streamstown area of Galway, near Clifton, Tom was a solid, consistent defensive player throughout his playing career. He played fullback on the day of the 1975 final. Tom provided Pittsburgh with quite the legacy, going on to form the Pittsburgh Celtics 1 year later in 1976. He passed away in 2018 He's represented today by his daughter Trish. Please put your hands together for Tom Curley. Number 3 in the team was right full-back Jim Hosey. Jim hailed from Pittsburgh's North Hills. He joined the Roger Casements team along with his good friend Tom Curley. He was a strong man with a good foot. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2011. Folks, please put your hands together for Jim Hosey. Our number 4 that day was right half-back Chuck Kennedy. Chuck is considered a tremendous player with powerful strength. He never had a bad game according to his teammates. He made life miserable for those he marked for his entire career. He was lightning quick and tough as nails and marked the best forwards that were out there. His daughters Bridget and Maureen are still playing the game today, lying out today. Having started with the Banshees in 2002. His son Connor played for many great years with the Celtics, and son Devon also lined out today. A right half-back, Chucky Kennedy. Tommy Shore initially hailed from Neenah in County Tipperary. While originally a hurler, he came to Pittsburgh and joined Roger Casements at centre half-back. Tommy was an All-Ireland minor champion with Tipperary in 1973 with hurling. He came to Pittsburgh as his uncle was here working for TWA. As well as his contributions in 1975, Tommy had a memorable day in 1977 when he played football for the Casements and hurling for Cleveland, both against San Francisco. Centre half-back Tommy Shore. Number 6, left half-back Pat Foley. Pat was one of the youngest players on the team at age 20. He was considered very fast with a lot of speed, a great fielder of the ball and a great defensive player. Pat's another man who's left quite the legacy that sustained the GA in Pittsburgh. Daughters Annie and Claire were original Banshees. His son Paul was a Celtic in his formative years. His nieces were also involved with the Banshees. After his playing days were over, Pat gave back to the GA as so many have, and memorably co-managed the Celtics to their first Midwest Championship in 2002 when they had a memorable victory. Folks, your left half-back, Pat Foley. First midfielder for the day was Tommy Dowd. Tom was born into a great GA family, surrounded on the day with his dad, uncle and brother all playing. Tom, who played at midfield for most of his career, was a very strong, consistent, solid footballer with a lot of power. Another man who has created quite the legacy. Sons, daughters, grandkids have all played for GA, with Ryan in fact lining out today for the Celtics. I'm sure many more will follow. Another man who gave his all to Pittsburgh GAA, and when his career was finished, Tom coached the Banshees to championships. Tom Dowd. A cousin of the infamous O'Donoghue clan, Tony Dorsch was the second midfielder on the way on the day and was tucked into playing by Tom O'Donoghue. He was very athletic, a smart footballer with plenty of stamina and a good pair of hands. He was renowned for driving a Porsche to games and practices. I don't think that's ever happened since. He played with the Casements for many years before becoming a pilot and served in the military. He since moved from Pittsburgh to the West Coast and is represented here today by his sister Maureen. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Dorsch. Number 9, Pat Minnick, left half forward. Widely regarded as one of the best forwards to grace the fields of the GAA, not just in Pittsburgh, but anywhere in the world. Pat was also an accomplished basketball and rugby player and had gone to boarding school in Dublin. He was a pacey left half forward and could score frees from both feet. In fact, he was generally just given the run of the pitch. As someone said to me, it was an easy game back then. All I had to do was find Pat Minnick. The 17-year-old Pat Minnick was still in high school when he won the 1975 championship. Another man who's left quite the legacy behind, with his daughter Carolyn lining out today for Charlotte. Ladies and gentlemen, Centre half forward Jackie Dowd. Although Jackie only played for a couple of years, he was a consistent footballer. Generally a sub, he started the 75 final, joining his brother Tom on the field. He gave everything he had, pouring every ounce of himself into the game whenever he played. Fortunately, Jackie passed away in 2013. Representing him here today is his sister Mary Beth. Through a family connection, a right half forward Colin McGuigan found his way to Pittsburgh in the early 70s. He played one memorable year with Roger Casements. Originally from the Waddy Glens club in Maharad, County Derry, the home of current GAA Derry superstar Conor Glass. Colin was the joker of the bunch and was well renowned for singing of the long-legged woman dressed in black. Ladies and gentlemen, right half forward Colin McGuigan. Corner forward Jerry Kelly, another man from the Waddy Glens club in Derry. Jerry played corner forward on the 75 team. He was a handy footballer who generally played in defence, but like many Irish lads in those days when they came to the US, they could play in any position at all, and so he fitted in nicely as corner forward. Jerry Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. Corner forward Dickie Beck. Hailing from Swissvale, Dickie was a solid forward. Although he may not have had the best kicking foot, he had a great fist. A very useful tool in those days when you could score a goal with your fist. It just made sense. He excelled at basketball too, and his ball handling skills transferred very nicely over to the GA. Our corner forward, Dickie Beck. And now our substitutes on the day, folks. 14 was Bill Dowd, the infamous Bill Dowd. Originally from Ballydonoghue in North Kerry, Bill was, I believe, 51 years young on the day of the final. He started playing for Pittsburgh in the late 40s. He entered the field of play in the second half and was on the field for the final whistle. One of the lads recalls Bill being hoisted up aloft upon that final whistle. Unfortunately, Bill passed away in 2017. When you talk about legacy, this man left behind quite the heritage. Bill's children and grandchildren went on to play for the Banshees, Celtics and Pukas Hurlers. Representing him today is his daughter, Mary Beth. Eamon Geaver was a left full back. Originally from Roscommon, Eamon came to Pittsburgh in the 1950s. Although he was coming to the end of his career in 1975, he was always consistent when he took the field. Eamon generally played at left full back, and that's where he played on this particular day. He was a handy footballer. Ladies and gentlemen, Eamon Geaver. Jimmy Dowd was a forward originally from Garfield, and the first cousin of some of our dads here today. He played throughout the 70s. It was not only in the 75 team, but also the 77 and 79 national winning teams. His exploits on the field earned him the name Super Sub. He was a very scrappy footballer, not afraid to be on the business end of things. Jimmy's passed and he's represented today by his nephew Brendan Keneally. Jim Horton was a tall man, a great fielder of the ball, and played his part when called on. He subsequently moved on to Atlanta after hanging up his boots. Playing in Philly, he came on at half-time, he caught the throw-in, kicked the ball straight over the bar. And while never the greatest player in the world, Philly immediately put two men to mark him, thus creating a lot of space in the field for the other players on the day. Our midfielder, Jim Horton. Tommy Kennedy, brother of Chuck, was a very consistent player. He played both at half-back and half-forward. A smart player with a good footballing IQ. As a half-back, Tommy always stuck to his mark like glue. Some of the other lads on the team will remember his contact lenses and the constant searches on the grass for them after tough tackles. Others recall that Tommy was super fit, even running before training. Who did that? So he's a man ahead of his time. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Kennedy. Tom Curley. Tom Curley was a sub, he was a forward. Tom was originally from Garfield. He only played with the Roger Casements for a couple of years, but when playing, he gave his all and enjoyed his playing career. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Curley. And finally, folks, we have the manager on the day, and he's represented today by his son, Tim O'Donoghue. So Tom O'Donoghue. He's originally from Canavan in the Stone County, Kerry. Tom is often known as the Irish ambassador to Pittsburgh. He welcomed many an immigrant and Irish band to the Blarney Stone in Etna. He was a lifelong GAA man, having played centre half-back and kept the Casements going for much of the 60s, 70s and 80s. Tom passed away in 2007, but not before creating a fantastic legacy that still exists today and will continue long into the future, with sons, daughters and grandkids all playing GAA. Like his son Timmy, who's with us today, is the Banshee coach. His granddaughter Aideen will captain the Banshees in the next game. And his grandsons Conlon and Connor just lined out for the Celtic. Folks, please give it up for Tom O'Donoghue. So there you go, folks. One final round of applause for the Golden Jubilee team of 1970.